Welcome back to the Life with People podcast. This podcast is about finding, building, rebuilding, and reimagining community. My hope is that these conversations encourage you to reach for connection and community wherever you find yourself. In this quick solo episode, I reflect on my conversation with my grandmother, Mickie. That was episode 10 for those of you who missed it. If you want to go back and listen to it in its entirety, feel free. If not, continue on here and get a quick recap of my personal takeaways. Okay, well, today I'm going to do a solo episode. It's been a while since I've done one of those, but when I was editing the conversation with my grandma, there were a few themes that really stood out to me, and so I wanted to recap them and reflect on them here with you today. First off, if you listened to the episode, I hope you enjoyed it. My grandmother is one of a kind, and I really enjoy her, so I hope you enjoyed that conversation. One thing that's really awesome about her, and it didn't come up in the episode, but every time I'm traveling with her or we're going somewhere doing something together, and I'm there mostly to hang out with her, right? But she is there to meet people. Like anywhere we've gone together, she really wants to make sure we're at the social moments so she can meet people and we can get to know people. And it's like she doesn't want to miss the opportunity to meet the new people. There have been a few times when I've been somewhere and I walk by her and she's talking to someone new and she's like, "Oh, Theresa, come here. And I have to meet new people, which is great. Fabulous. It gets me out of my own little locked in zone, I guess. But anyway, just want to emphasize that even at 92 years old, she is trying to go and meet new people wherever she goes. And I just think that's admirable and brave and tenacious and all the things. You got to do it for the enjoyment of life, I guess. Anyway, so I wanted to say that as a caveat. I think she is a great test case for how to make and keep friends and how to continue making friends throughout your life. I just think it's great. And so thank you, Grandma, for giving me that living example of someone who never gives up on friendship and who just continues to make and keep friends for years and years and years. Yeah. So the first thing I wanted to highlight was throughout the episode, we talked about her best friend, Shirley. And something I thought was really interesting was a comment she made about when her and Shirley became close friends. She mentioned that her and Shirley were friends in middle school. And then once Shirley's quote unquote best friend, Carolyn, moved out of state, then Mickie and Shirley became really good friends. It's like they were friends, but they weren't super close. But then once Carolyn was out of the picture, so to speak, Mickie and Shirley became really good friends. And they became friends, for 80 years, they were friends. And so you never know. I just thought that was a sweet tale of unexpected opportunity. And I mean, if Shirley were here, I would have loved to hear her side of the story, right? Like, how sad was she when Carolyn moved? Was it the end of the world? She was in middle school. It might have been really devastating to have one of your best friends move, but unbeknown to her, her lifelong friend, Mickie, was waiting for her right there. And so I thought that was kind of sweet. Sweet thing to think about. Another thing, before we get into the main topic of this quick episode, one thing I think is interesting about my grandma is she doesn't have any siblings. And so I think she had to learn how to get outside of herself in a different way. I have lots of siblings and I love them dearly. And especially as an adult, it's amazing how your siblings kind of become your little baseline of built-in friendships. And it's actually a very, very beautiful thing. And growing up, you have built-in friendships. They might have a lot of animosity at times because you're sharing space and you're stealing each other's clothes or you're in a crazy prank war or whatever is going on with your siblings. But regardless, they are there and they aren't going anywhere, right? Like, especially in my family, if anything happened to me, they'd all be on my doorstep. no questions asked. And I love that about them. I'm so grateful. But my grandmother, because she didn't have any siblings, she really had to make her friends her family, make her friends her siblings. And I think she learned a lot about friendship that was forged through the absence of having siblings. It's kind of like anytime someone is having to pave their own way, they have to kind of pioneer it and they discover new things. So I just wanted to acknowledge that there's something unique about her in that sense too. And again, I'm so grateful for her life and how much she's taught me. And I'm also grateful for all of my siblings. Thank you, parents, for having more than one of us. So the main thing I wanted to talk about was her exhortation, I guess, to keep in touch. When I asked during the interview, Grandma, how do you keep friends? Her immediate response was, keep in touch. And it came up many times in the episode. And even earlier in the episode, she mentioned that her and Shirley stayed friends because they kept up with each other. And so I wanted to kind of break that down a little bit. Some things that came up in the episode was the idea of keeping in touch in every season. And I thought this was great. I have so many, shout out to my beautiful mom friends who have lots of little kids, and it's a busy, kind of crazy season at home. Well, Mickie and Shirley kept in touch during that season of having small children, right? And my grandmother mentioned, like, sometimes Shirley would stop by when she could. And she also mentioned that one day her and her mom were out Christmas shopping, and they were in Shirley and George's neighborhood. And they were just like, hey, we're going to swing by. And I feel like in our culture, obviously, like, shoot up a flare, shoot a text, like, you got to know the person. But in our culture, the art of just stopping by, we've kind of lost it, right? But there is something to be said for that small gesture. Shooting that text message. Hey, I'm in your part of town right now. Are you home? Or do you want to go for a quick walk? I have 30 minutes. There's something to be said for the spontaneity and just the act of doing that. It can go a long way. Even just the text, hey, I know things are busy. I know things are crazy, but I'm thinking about you. That goes a long way too. It's really simple things. And obviously we can't keep in touch with everybody all the time, but we can, I think, be more mindful than we are. I can be more mindful than I am about this. Another thing that came up was keeping in touch during hard things. Like, my grandmother went through some hard seasons, and she talked about how Shirley and George stuck with her through some of those really hard seasons. So it's kind of choosing to keep up and to be friends no matter what life brings you, right? She also talked about keeping in touch through conflict. It's guaranteed that at some point you're going to have conflict with your friends or your partner or a family member. It's going to happen. It probably happened to you today, but she talked about keeping in touch through conflict. She talked about letting it go. Talked about being respectful to the other person. One part of our conversation, we talked about how you can't ever know 100% where the other person is coming from. Oh, doggy toy. Can you hear that? Oh, please pause. Hey, Valley, I love you. Yeah, we can't always 100% know. Maybe ever. Maybe we can never 100% know where the other person is coming from. We're literally not inside their mind. So sometimes you just have to let it go and agree to disagree and to be respectful of each other. I thought that was really insightful. It's like, it's so simple. Most of the things we talked about were so simple, but if we were to just apply them to our lives, they have profound impacts. I get to see the fruit of my grandmother keeping in touch with people, because every time I talk to her, her calendar is full. Like, she is maxed out. I mentioned this in the episode, but she has a social life that puts me to shame. And I have to book out at least 4 weeks in advance to see her, even though she's always like, you should come see me. But then I can't just go see her. I have to plan it out. And I think her full calendar, it really is the fruit of all of her years of keeping in touch and being proactive and being intentional. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is, it's sad and happy. I don't know exactly how to feel, but she talked a lot about people that she is losing. She's 90 years old, and she talked about losing her peers. And she talked about keeping in touch with people really until the line would disconnect, meaning you make the phone call and the phone number no longer works because the person is gone. I wanted to highlight that because there's something to be said for that kind of tenacity. And I wanted to honor her and honor all the elders in my life and maybe your life, because there's something to be said for living with that kind of tenacity where you are reaching out and reaching out and reaching out until you can't reach out anymore. And I think that sometimes as a younger, not that young, but as someone in an earlier stage of life, I'm getting more aware, but I'm often unaware of just how much tenacity your older stages carry. There's a lot of joy, there's a lot of love, there's a lot of amazing parts of it, but there's also some sorrow that's being carried and some loneliness. And I wanted to highlight that because if you haven't called your grandma or your grandpa in a while, or your dad or your mom or your auntie or your uncle, maybe today's the day. Maybe today's the day to reach out to them, to keep in touch, and to see how they're doing. All right, that's it. Just a few highlights from my conversation with my grandma. So again, real quick, I want to encourage you to look out for unexpected opportunities. Maybe your future best friend's current best friend is about to move and you're about to get a new best friend. Make sure that you are keeping in touch, that you are doing small things to help foster relationship and community in your life, even in busy seasons. Be on the lookout, like no matter where you go, if you're traveling, if you are on a walk, if you are in the grocery store, whatever, like be on the lookout for new friends. They're probably just waiting for you. And also just remember to keep in touch in the middle of conflict and to keep in touch for the long haul. If you haven't talked to somebody in a long time, it's not too late to reach out to them. And in the words of my grandmother, keep in touch with me. Feel free to reach out. Have a good day, guys. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Life with People podcast. We would love to stay in touch with you. Some easy ways to do that would be for you to subscribe to the podcast on your preferred platform. That ensures you get the latest episodes right away when they're released. I also want to invite you to leave a review. It helps us to make it into other people's feeds and hopefully give them some valuable and encouraging content. Anyway, hope you're having a good day. Like it, subscribe to it, share it with a friend. And as always, feel free to reach out. I would love to hear about how you're building community in your own life. Okay, bye.